everyone, welcome back to QSR Nation, your go-to source for food service marketing and business strategies for success.
Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of QSR Nation. As always, we have Josh, Beth, Tony, and Grant coming to you today from the PFSbrands National Headquarters in Holston, Missouri to discuss food service marketing and business strategies for success. It's been a while. We're back.
But you spoke that like a champ.
Yeah, I know.
It's good to hear
It's
your
like
voice,
I've never.
Josh.
Oh, thanks, Grant.
Yeah.
I mean, you could always just call.
Yeah, but Grant's not a good friend like that.
Well, today we are pretty pumped. We have Joe Chatman here with us today, the VP of Customer Success. Is there more to your title than that, or is it just VP of Customer Success?
That's good.
Man.
That's not enough.
You
Off to a great start.
You wear so many hats is what I'm trying to say. That was like a kind of a compliment, I guess. Anyways.
Yeah, no.
And moving on.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Well, welcome,
No.
Joe. Thanks for coming on to the QSR Nation.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. Glad to be here and glad to be here with everybody. You guys do a great job and super excited to be on this podcast.
Awesome, yeah. So Joe's been at PFSbrands for a little less than a year, right? It was like October.
Yep, late
yeah.
October. So
Yeah.
just coming right around to half year. So,
For sure, yeah. So do you want to tell us?
Sometimes it feels like more, sometimes less.
Yeah,
We
so-
know working with Anthony, it makes you, it ages you.
What?
Oh, sorry. I said that out
I'm
loud.
right here, Beth.
So would you mind telling us a little bit about your background and kind of what you've done in the past and how you got to PFSbrands?
Yeah, absolutely. I went to grad school for marketing and MBA at Vanderbilt University in Nashville. So shout out to the Commodores. I watched a lot of bad football during my 2 years there. So yeah, and then worked at FedEx for about 3.5 years in their retail marketing and international marketing departments. And then majority of my career has been in consumer packaged goods. So about 13.5 years with Nestle Purina, working on brands such as Purina One, Beneful, Pro Plan, Tidy Cats, and then also had the opportunity to work for Pabst Brewing Company. So worked there for about 1.5 years. Started off in brand management. One of Anthony's favorite. We got a lot of beer fans out
Yeah,
there.
we do. Yeah.
So and then also was had a regional general manager position there before I came over to PFSbrands. But excited to be here and learn a lot from you guys and the food service sector, and just having a lot of fun, learn a lot, meeting a lot of great people.
Well, I don't mean this just to suck up either, but we're happy to have you.
Yeah. Well, it's so strange too. You know, I think a lot of people forget that within the field of marketing, like you went from Purina, which is obviously animals, everything else, and you went straight to beer. I mean, it's like, but all the rules and
But
everything
I
else
never
apply.
fed any animals beer, just for the record.
That was really what I was leading to. So, next question, guys.
no consumer research on animals with beer or anything like that. But,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Purina Beerful.
Beerful, yeah.
Next project.
Oh, Lord.
So how would you say that all the marketing tactics and stuff like that, how do they apply all across the board to make, because obviously you've been very successful in the brands that you've helped marketed. So what is something that you've learned, like that you think is the most impactful for all of our customers, whatever they're trying to market?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, regardless of the category that you're competing in, it really comes down to the consumers and really leveraging key consumer insights to deliver a product or service that they're looking for. And sometimes they don't even know that they're looking for it. So I think the brands and the marketers that can do that on a day-to-day basis, regardless of the brand, regardless of the segment that they're competing in, like I said, are going to win, going to have positive success if they can really deliver on those key consumer insights, whatever they may be in that particular category.
For sure. I know I've heard you say several times before, if you have a good product, just get it to as many people's hands as possible and kind of let it go from there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, regardless of the brand or service that I worked on over the years, you know, one thing is true in my experience. If you have a good product, you have a good service, you want to get that into as many households or consumers' hands as possible, really increase the household penetration. And if you can do that, you will see success in the long term. Not easy, and certainly doesn't happen overnight. There's various tactics, obviously, to do so, sampling, etc. But if you can do that, you're going to have a winner.
Well, also, I mean, having that connectivity with that consumer base, understanding, who you are as a company, what problems you're solving for the consumers, telling that story to them so they can you'll see the benefit of utilizing your products, your services, etc. But most importantly, just connecting with them so they feel a part of the brand and that they can trust and engage with over and over again, and then eventually become advocates of your brand.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen, even in the last several years, it really go from a mass media, mass marketing dominated landscape to really more personalization. And for, consumers are looking for brands to have empathy, to really understand how they're going about their day-to-day lives, and really how they're using the product, consuming the product, using the service or whatever. So yeah, to your point, the more you can understand, put yourself in the consumer's shoes, and really try to have that, if possible, one-to-one dialogue and really personalization, whether it's delivering products, services, content, whatever the case may be, to really be successful long-term.
Did you hear that, guys? Empathy?
You have plenty of
Empathy.
I heard a rumor that may be very high on Beth's list. So.
Beth and Grant are both very empathetic.
Yeah, but Tony and I, not so
No,
much.
not so much.
Yeah.
I saw the motivation assessment, so yeah, I saw that.
Thank goodness for Grant.
I don't know, I struggle with it sometimes.
That's because you have to work with Beth.
Just one point I was going to add to that, though. So a lot of times we talk about how important customer service is here, but don't get us wrong. Like, the product you provide is also extremely important. Whether it sets you apart based on the customization or anything like, or just having a real good quality product, like we believe our chicken tenders at Champs Chicken are some of the best.
Absolutely.
That can overcome sometimes like average customer service. We still want superior customer service, but if you have a really good product, it could bring people back. Like, sometimes I go out to a restaurant and maybe it's not as good of an experience as normal, but I know that I'll still go back because they have a really good, one food item that I really want to get. So those really good products can overcome other weaknesses of your brand.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, obviously, you want to deliver, high quality, a great experience, great service, etc. I know when Sean talks about it, Discovery Days, it's hard to do all that, especially at a low price. And we won't apologize for not being the low cost provider. But yeah, I mean, if you have a great product, great service that people want to use, want to engage, embrace, and use time after time, then that's job one. You can overcome a lot of hurdles if you have a great product or great service.
Well, that's one thing. Everyone's always looking for that point of differentiation. What makes my business different than everyone else's? And there's a lot of products out there that, like Grant said, they're really great, and regardless maybe of average service, I'm still going to go there. But then there's other products, and please, no hate mail to me over this. I'm not dissing this company.
It's about the name drop.
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm not a fan of Chick-fil-A as far as the food
Oh,
product. My kids love their nuggets. I'm a sandwich guy. I'm spoiled. I'm biased. I'm sure, but I just
I was going to say, you might be a little biased.
I prefer
I hope you are
Champs
anyway.
Chicken sandwich over any other sandwich out there.
You can find more information at champschicken.com.
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
But here's the thing: is everyone I don't know anyone who raves about their food, but everyone I know that goes there raves about their service. So if you could find a way to deliver a great product with unmatched and unparalleled service, you will own whatever segment you were trying to sell to. Because if you actually genuinely show that appreciation and communicate it through your marketing, through the experience, and through the product, you're going to be tough to ever knock off and dethrone.
Well,
Their
and
sauces are pretty good, though.
yeah, their sauces are pretty good.
I gotta admit, I love their
The
Chick-fil-A
waffle
sauce.
fries? Oh,
Yeah.
Every time I go by there, I see a long line.
Yeah.
in the drive-thru, especially nowadays.
I'm in the minority. I fully understand that. It's waffle fries and their Chick-fil-A sauce, I'm down for. I'm not big on the chicken options, which is sad because they're a chicken company. But like someone saying, "Hey, I love Champs Chicken's potato wedges, but I really don't care for the chicken. That doesn't serve you well." But I know I'm in the minority. I'm not hating people. I'm complimenting them. personal preference.
Foot
So
and mouth.
yeah, I was going to ask you, because obviously with service and with everything going on with the global pandemic, you know, in these unprecedented times, guys, I just want to let you know. With
Do we have to take a shot now?
Yes.
Because it's unprecedented times.
with COVID-19, how do you think that the service industry, and specifically QSRs, is going to be changing now? Because we obviously had to go from more of a contactless, you know, serving arena, but you still have to have that customization. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, great question, and we could probably spend as much time as we want to on this, or as much time as Anthony will give us.
Or Josh will allow.
Or Josh.
We'll get the conversation
I
going.
forgot Josh is the timekeeper.
Usually will move us along.
No, I think it will be safety first and foremost will be really a focus coming out of COVID-19. I mean, I think whether it's the service or the products that you're delivering, I think safety and sanitization, cleanliness is going to be really key moving forward. I do think we'll continue to see those trends around curbside pickup, delivery, things of that nature. And then I think also just, you know, staffing is going to be more important than ever. A lot of people have lost jobs. There's going to be a lot of talent on the streets. A lot of people have been afraid to come into work during the pandemic. A lot of workers have had to be used in other areas of the store or location, or so a lot of places have really struggled from a labor standpoint. I think coming out of this, those places that really can recruit and retain top talent are certainly going to have a competitive advantage long term. But I do think safety is going to be on a lot of consumers' minds moving forward.
For sure, and I feel like every company and their brother is saying we're all in this together, and it's all about sanitization, contactless food service. So how do you break out from the pack when everybody's using the same exact message kind of right now? Any ideas about that?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I do think that there is a lot of the similar messaging. I think that honestly, our department, our team at PFSbrands, supporting Champs Chicken, has done a great job with things like grab and go, red letter sides. So I do think have embraced the change and provided products that consumers are looking for. But I do think that moving forward, it's important to Anthony's point to have that differentiation and deliver that consistently time and time again. But if you can't provide at least a good, positive experience, and if you don't have that labor, that talent that we talked about, it's going to be hard regardless of how your products perform. So, but great question. I do think we're doing a good job on the grab and go red letter sides. I think some of our sandwich offerings have been great during these times, convenient. But I think just grab and go and items like red letter sides are really going to be key moving forward.
Well, and that's one of the big things with red letter sides is it's got that factory sealed inner pouch. So on top of what's on the outside of the retail packaging, there's a secondary sealed component, for added safety and stuff in there. Sandwiches, especially in grab and go environments, convenience stores or grocery stores, you've got it's wrapped and sealed. A lot of people, making sure they have pre-made meals packed and contained, so it's limiting the contact. But when you get into the actual sit-down restaurant environment, where a lot of places are between 25 to 50% capacity, allowance currently still, it makes it, little different. I mean, I love Texas Roadhouse, one of my favorite places to go to.
Another name drop?
Yeah. I've
listened, just for the record, I have listened to previous shows, so I do know that he's a fan of
I am.
Tony's all about Texas Roadhouse. I'm
You're
all
all
about the
about
ribs.
ribs.
Menard.
Menard, so we get no sponsorship money, by the way.
Yeah.
Content people out
We
there.
should change that.
I know. As much as we recommend those folks, and the people running Wendy's Twitter account. God, I love you guys. You're savage. But at Texas Roadhouse, one of the things that has always been great in the service level is the interaction with the guest. And so if you're a sit-down restaurant, especially, and you're now maybe there's a weird barrier there. I mean, they're serving me with gloves and a face mask. I don't know if I'm going in for surgery or if I'm cutting my steak or what. And it wasn't just as inviting of an environment. And so I think that's going to be a huge challenge as we move forward too, because people want to know that it's safe. They want to know it's sanitary.
Yeah.
They want to know that there's still a quality product. So as we're getting on, hopefully what looks like to be the backside of this now, as I'm talking to restaurant owners and different people, there's a lot of folks that I found that they don't really have a plan in place, what we call it a 30, 60, 90, They know they're going to open, and then they're just going to keep masks and gloves on, and, they got to absorb all these new costs, and labor, rates are going up, and food costs are going through the roof, so there's all these different challenges. So, as we move through what we've all lived and experienced now, it's like, what's some advice that you'd have, like, for the next, 30, 60, 90 days to get us, through and into this, Q3, and as we prepare for holiday season in Q4. I know here it is June, and we're talking about, I'm thinking, when we get into, Black Friday shopping and, the typical really peak season of people, hammering restaurants and eating out and all sorts of stuff. It's like, how do we weather that storm in between to navigate there so that if there's a second relapse down the road, we're prepared now, but more importantly, how do we get through to there? 30, 60, 90. Take it away, Joe.
I was like, can he answer?
And
do you remember the question?
I do. No, great question. And you are reading articles about restaurant owners and managers right now, kind of weighing the pros and cons of opening back up. Knowing that people are looking for those experiences. But yeah, for me, a 30, 60, 90 would look like first and foremost, focus on that safety and the cleanliness of your restaurant. Get that right. That's kind of your base foundation. You got to have that right moving forward. And then just really continuing to focus on things like curbside pickup, delivery, takeout, etc. And then I think that final, that kind of 90, we mentioned the staffing, just really trying to secure that top talent that might be out on the streets right now. And then moving forward, what we learned in the Great Recession is those people, those businesses that can pivot and shift and adapt their menus to things that people are looking for. So first of all, a simple menu. After the Great Recession, the menus got fewer items, more simple, and then also making sure that you're delivering on those value proposition, delivering value meals that people are looking for. As budgets kind of get tightened around here, and people are looking to make their money go further, I do think value type meals, family style or family meals are going to be very important moving forward into the holidays and probably into 2021 as well is my prediction. So I'd love to hear what you guys think, though. Just one person's opinion.
I'm glad Joe said value proposition. I know that made
Yeah.
Do I get a prize?
Bonus,
Any swag or anything like that?
So a story about value proposition. It was like Tony's first week here, and we had to go work at a food show in Kansas City. I didn't even talk to the guy before, and the 2 hours up there, I don't think he took one breath, and he talked about value proposition the entire time.
That is a true story. There's no denying it.
And on the way back too. It's like he took a 2 hour value proposition course, had a 6 hour food show work, and then another 2 hour course. So that's
good news is Josh passed the quiz.
I was going to say, did you have to take a quiz to be certified?
I'm very passionate about value propositions. So.
I was going to say another thing that I might add on to the 30, 60, 90 day plan, and you guys can tell me if you agree or disagree, is yes. Oh, wow.
I knew that was coming.
Oh, I should have known.
She did ask for it.
Yeah, I knew that.
And so obviously we're getting away from having a lot of that interaction because we want to have the contactless and we want to have the grab and go options, but you still need to find a way to connect with your consumers so that way they feel desired and they want to go in there and feel wanted, that you want your business. So you really need to make sure that you're focusing on your marketing tactics to where it is going to be on social media, to where you can appreciate them, you can show your thanks to them, even grabbing email addresses so that way after they purchase an item you can send them a personalized thank you email. It just says thanks for stopping by, here's a coupon for your next visit, or whatever it might be, or just keep in touch with them on different promotions. But I think that's the number one thing, is that right now we're really trying to avoid people, but they also still need to have a personal connection.
Yeah,
Which
people are going to be looking for moving forward. I mean, people have been cooped up and limited contact for a long time, social distancing, etc. So I agree. People are going to be looking for that.
That's a good point too, Beth, for those follow-up emails and things. So that's a great time. As we've learned in online reputation, is to ask for reviews as well.
Yes.
More people are looking for that stuff nowadays than ever before. So that's a great call.
Yeah. One more thing I was going to add real quick. Joe's mentioned safety a couple times, but a byproduct we're already seeing with some of our secret shops and stuff, and we're in the grocery store, convenience store industry, which by nature, that's travelers coming in and going. So that's really difficult to keep those types of businesses clean. But we're seeing like our stores are like way more clean than they've ever been before because they've been forced to be clean. But that's actually a byproduct. It's a positive thing we're actually seeing because we're getting feedback from customers that are giving them 100% on just the cleanliness part. And then and from a consumer's perspective, if it's a super clean store, they're probably already going to like the food a little bit more just because they already have one positive experience. So that's something that we're seeing as a positive thing, which is good, I guess, moving forward.
Well, those go ahead.
No, it's okay, Joe. You go ahead. I was gonna, just gonna pop in. It's okay.
Pop in.
No, I was just gonna say, as those convenience stores and grocery stores, delis, etc., are looking for that food dollar. The fact that they have upped their game from a cleanliness and service standpoint. When the reality is there's going to be a lot of restaurants that go out of business after this, and so there's going to be consumers are going to be looking for places to eat, places to pick up food, et cetera. And so those people that can deliver on it whether it's service, cleanliness, et cetera, probably stand a better chance of surviving and thriving moving forward.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is cleanliness is next to godliness, and that's a term that I got ingrained
Name dropping
in
again.
When I was in retail operations, that was we had a VP that would come in, and he didn't care if your sales were up or down. He cared if your store was clean. He cared if it was relamped and well lit. He cared if it was organized. He cared if the floors made sure they were clean. And so, he would come in, go straight to the restroom, not to use it, but just to see if your restroom was clean. And it was just all about sanitization. And this is a long time ago, probably back in like the 30s when I was a kid. And
oh wait, I thought you were born in 1902.
1802.
Okay.
But that's how I have 75 kids. But but it's just at the end of the day, you've got to win that battle up front of an inviting atmospheres when people walk in. It's not just eye contact and hi, how are you doing? Thanks for coming in, type stuff. It's got to be the full presentation, especially now because of the heightened awareness. I think over years we saw some of that stuff decline some because consumers allowed the bar to be lowered, and that is not the case now. So those that can win in that sanitization, that first impression, we talk about it here. You only get one chance to make a good first impression. So even if that customer has been in before, you don't own any of these customers right now. And if you own them before, you don't own them now, because if they were willing to accept a lower bar because you had a great food product, but your bathrooms are always nasty, that person may not come there now. So again, win with the sanitization. Make sure it's not just up front. Take care of everything, the kitchen areas, the cooler areas, anywhere your receiving docks, your bathrooms, everything. Just really go overboard with it.
Yeah.
I see
Own
Josh
it.
smiling, so he's
Own
ready to
it.
move on.
What's the saying though?
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Yeah.
See, I had a boss, one of my first jobs in food service, that said, if you got time to be leaning, you got time to be cleaning.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Same idea, similar ideas, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I'm just to kind of pivot here a little bit. I've been wanting to ask this. So you came from Pabst and Purina. What excites you about coming into the QSR arena? I know you've been here a little while now, but what excites you the most about it?
Yeah, a great question. A few things. First of all, just the opportunity to help our customers. We're kind of unique in that we have wholesalers, retailers, end consumers, and then employee owners that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So just really the chance to help them be successful. And from a PFSbrand standpoint, and as an employee owner, just the unlimited growth potential I think PFSbrands has, and you guys have seen that the last few years, gotten into new businesses, continue to grow, and I just think the sky's the limit for this company. So
That was a
great
good
question.
recruiting plug.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of good plugs
You can
in today.
Always looking for A players,
Yeah.
right, Josh?
Yeah,
Always
always
looking for A
recruiting.
players.
You can check out career opportunities at pfsbrands.com/careers.
Careers.
Beth's done that a time or two. She always gets that plug in right after the.
Yeah.
She's all about the social media, the
I know.
online
Yeah.
reputation. It's like she does that for a living
Yeah.
or something.
Follow us on Champs Chicken for a great time. That's Champs, CHA. No,
Oh, man.
So do we want to dive into the big three?
I think it's a good time.
I think I'm good. I guess we're ready for the big three.
Well, I want to ask one more question, though. I just got one more question.
Oh, that wasn't me, by the way, folks.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. So, Joe, I mean, you've done a lot in your career. I mean, for a guy in his early 40s, probably late 30s, I'm guessing, by the way.
Keep going up.
Visit Josh.
So what's one of the coolest, it doesn't have to be anything you've done, but what's one of the coolest marketing campaigns or strategies that comes to top of mind you've seen over the years?
I'm biased, so I'm going to go, can I pick two?
Sure, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to...
We'll take the content.
All right, no, I'll pick two that I was personally involved in. One was Tidy Cat's Toss Me That Litter campaign, and so it was for the introduction of lightweight litter. And it was a cool campaign. It was, whether it was in-store, TV, digital, it was all leveraging that Toss Me That Litter idea. And the insight there is that people always associated litter, or at least effective litter, with being heavy. In fact, owners of cats, hated going to the store to pick up litter. They'd send somebody else in the family because they didn't want to deal with it because it was heavy. But the perception was that if it was lightweight litter, that it wouldn't be as effective. And so Tidy Cats came out with a revolutionary lightweight litter that had all the strength, half the weight. And then, to really try to demonstrate that, we had people literally tossing that litter, and that's why the campaign Toss Me That Litter came about. So that's the first one. Worked with a lot of great creative talent, great partners, bringing that to life, not just from a media standpoint, but in store, getting people to do a lift test and see just for themselves how light it was. Then they took it home and the litter performed. So really a revolutionary product, a lot of great marketing around that campaign. The second one was that I'm thinking of is at Prina One, we had a 28-day challenge. And I think I've talked to some of you about it before. It's where, our promise was with, less than a month, 28 days, that they would see a difference, a physical difference that they could see in their pet, dog or cat, with our dry food. And so just, really, again, we talk about increasing household penetration. We leverage that program in-store, online, even built a mass TV campaign around the idea of the 28-day challenge, and really just saw household penetration shoot through the roof. So again, it goes back to having a good product. They saw a difference in their pet, whether it was in their coat, energy, etc., loss of weight, etc. And really those two products really kind of changed the game in the litter space and then in the dry dog and dry cat food segment. So just really proud of the work by the team in those two campaigns. So great.
I know that I have a great Yelp review from my dog Sadie about Purina food, so she really loves it.
All right.
Yeah. So #1 rating.
I'm not really for sure which kind of cat litter my cat Winky uses, but
Oh.
I'll have to ask my wife. Try some of the lightweight.
What's cool about those strategies, though, it's not just just a commercially, dispersed across the nation, but it actually had a complex strategy behind it. There's a reason why. There's something you're actually promoting to get consumers to think and actually change habits, because that's what we always talk about. Is the hardest thing is changing habits, and those sound like strategies that do change habits.
Yeah, I mean, Toss Me That Litter had to disrupt the category, like I said, because people simply didn't believe that litter could be effective and lightweight. And then, in the case of Purina One, it's like, do you have a product that performs, and can you really see the difference in 28-day challenge? Kind of similar to money back guarantee. Put your money where your mouth is, and we knew that our target consumer, our target market, loved to look at their pet and be proud of how their pet looked because they felt like a good owner. And so really that was the insight, and being able to see that difference. So yeah, it was a strategy brought to life and then communicated and promoted through all platforms.
It's great, for sure.
I just want to make a really bad joke about the Tidy Cat litter.
Let's just not go there. Let's just not go.
Okay, best thing I can't say anything about it.
And moving on.
Whisper it.
Beth, you want to start us off with the quick three here?
Sure. Okay, so these are our top 3 that we always ask every one of our guests. So the first question is, what is one book that you would recommend? It could be marketing, business related, or just one that you really like.
Yeah, can I pick two again, or am I limited to
man.
one? You guys are tough.
Wow.
He's not.
This
He
is
doesn't follow the
This
rules.
is like the White House
All
press
right.
conference.
Yeah, you can
Well,
have-
you guys know I'm a rule
Two
breaker.
questions?
So.
I think almost every guest ends up picking two. Though.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'm in
Yeah.
good company. All right. The first one would be Eating the Big Fish by Adam Morgan. I've talked to some of you about that. Talks a great book about how challenger brands can compete with leading brands in the marketplace. And, you know, I went back and looked at a few chapters not too long ago, and it's amazing how some of the suggestions and tricks and principles still apply several years later. I mean, and really the takeaway is this, that you have to think differently and leverage what you have, you know, speed to market, things of that nature, being scrappy, not relying on research. You know, I mean, you can do things that the big guys can't and be more nimble, agile, and really, you know, understand your target market better, and you can compete effectively and ultimately eat the big fish. So that was one of them. The other one that I'll mention, and I've shared it with a few people here at PFSbrands, is essentialism, and it's really just focusing on those key things that can really matter, whether it's your personal or professional life. You know, those big rocks, if you will, that can really move the needle, and really, if you focus on those, and it sometimes requires saying no to other things, which is challenging, or prioritizing, which is hard to do, especially for people like me. But it's not about being lazy or working less, or even, you know, not working hard or not working fast, but it's just focusing on those few key things that really make a difference in our lives, whether that's from, like I said, a business or a personal standpoint. But yeah, I actually had two former colleagues give me both of those books, or recommend them, you know, and there's nothing like getting a gift of a book, you know, because that means that someone has really taken the time and considered how this book could help you in your personal and professional life. So, but yeah, other than that, of course, I'd put in a plug for Sean's book, as all PFSbrands employees should read Sean's book, and then also Great Game of Business, to really understand, I think, kind of our business model, our culture here at PFSbrands. So those are good as well. So yeah, great question.
Lots of books to read. Okay.
And that's great with two T's on Sean's book.
KeyshawnBurcham.com.
KeyshawnBurcham.com. Because we're all about shameless plugs.
All right, I'll take the second question, I suppose. And this one's been very different this year. It used to be a lot more applicable, but I'll see if Joe wants to add anything more to what he's already said in this podcast. But the second question is, what's one marketing or business trend you think will be influential for the upcoming year?
Yeah, you know, I was going to say, you know, I was thinking about this a little earlier, and I was, you know, obviously e-commerce, I think, is going to be here to stay. You know, whether it's in QSR, food service world, or anywhere else. You know, I mean, we've seen just coming out of COVID-19, the people who've never interacted with apps, e-commerce, things of that nature, you know, have adopted it in this situation. In fact, those trends have accelerated by years already, and so I think that the businesses, the retailers, the operators that can figure that landscape out moving forward are really going to have an advantage, and that's a little bit obvious, but I think it's going to be really important moving forward. And again, like we talked about earlier, just that whole safety aspect, looking for minimal or low touch items, still convenience. You don't have to interact with people. But yeah, I think coming out of COVID-19, I think a lot of restaurants and just the food service in general is really going to be disrupted moving forward. But we'll be resilient. We'll evolve. The businesses, I think, that will be able to adapt their models to, again, what consumers are looking for, are going to be the most successful moving forward. As always, after 2001, after the Great Recession, again that disrupts things for a while. Think about how the travel industry disrupted or was disrupted after 9/11, and people adapt, and those people those businesses that do adapt in the new world will have an advantage.
Awesome. Anthony, you want to take the third question?
Okay.
So, what is one bit of advice that you would give someone who is starting in the food service industry? They're going to start their own restaurant up, get going. What's the one piece of advice that you would like to give to that entrepreneur?
Yeah, as far as one piece of advice for an entrepreneur, well, I haven't been an entrepreneur myself. I've worked with plenty of them in the past, and I'd just say, hang in there. I mean, it's obviously, a tough business. It's a great working in the food and beverage industry. It's a great opportunity to serve others. People, they have relationships that come together even during these trying times around food, and just really, it's great to see your efforts and hard work pay off. But it's a lot of work, as you guys know. I mean, crazy hours. You're always on in a lot of cases. A lot of times when people are off with friends and family for holidays, you're working, or you and your team are working. And I'd say the other thing is just be always ready to change and take risks. But again, all goes back to perseverance. But yeah, great question.
Awesome.
You guys got anything else for Joe?
I think I'm good.
That was a good conversation.
I'm just glad Joe finally made it on the podcast.
Yeah. We finally
He's
convinced
been
him enough.
Better late than never. All right.
All right, and for everybody listening, we can reach I'm just stumbled right there.
It's okay.
You can get all of our other podcasts at qsrnationpodcast.com. Beth, you want to do another social plug, I guess?
Sure. You can always find us on pretty much every social media channel. So you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, also YouTube. You can leave us a review on iTunes and everything else that's possible. But yeah, definitely leave us a review and also leave us comments about any kind of topics you would like to discuss.
Yeah, and Joe, really appreciate you coming on, man. It was a great time.
Absolutely. Enjoyed it and had fun.
Yeah, you'll have to come back again.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All
Love
right.
to.
All right, from all of us here at QSR Nation, we'll talk to you next week.
Be sure to join us again for the next episode of QSR Nation.